恭敬大德僧听，为此法会，济一切众生，请转妙法轮，教导我们如何了生脱死，离苦得乐，速证无生。Will the Sangha with great virtue, out of compassion, for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach us how to leave suffering and attain bliss and end birth and death, and quickly realize non-birth.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. Namo sadanto suchedoye olahudi samyao sanputoshe. Wu shang shen shen wei miao fa. 百千万劫难遭遇，我今见闻得受持，愿皆如来真实义。Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered even in billions of eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. Venerable Master, Dharma friends, welcome to our Sutra lecture tonight. It is Sunday, January 19th, here in Gold Coast, Queensland. It's Saturday, January 18th in Berkeley, California. And I'm going to make a request for our future Dharma requests, and that's that somebody take the microphone and recite loudly so I know if you've heard it. I don't know whether you're getting my Namo Tassa Bhagavato. So if somebody into the mic with the group could recite along. That way I'll know when you're done and I'll know when to start the next line. Here's the planet Earth, right? And we're down under and we're trying to go up over. So through the miracles of modern technology, we're able to do that. But still, if I can't hear you, I don't know where you are in your call and response. Okay, we'll work that out for the future. So welcome everybody. My name is Heng Sure, and we are here in Gold Coast at Gold Coast Dharma Realm, also known as Sharangama Monastery, Lungyan Shengsi. And we have had 3 days of rain. And so everyone has heaved a sigh of relief here where it's now damp and the reservoirs and the behind the dams are filling up. So we're heading towards a fairly, they're saying this is a normal rainfall year. It's pretty soon. Not yet, too soon yet, because we had 3 years of drought. But some of us had 50 centimeters of rain fall through our roofs and flood ourselves out. So,
Dharma Master,
yes, question.
How has this affected the fires?
Many of the fires have been extinguished. There are still fires burning. And the city of Melbourne, which is, Australia's second largest city, has toxic smoke in the air. People are, they're trying to play the Australian Open, the world famous tennis match. And some of the participants, some of the contestants are saying they refuse to participate because they fear damage to their lungs in the future by playing in that air. So still iffy. And the magnitude of the fires that were burning here is kind of hard to conceive of. Something like, I'll get my statistics wrong, but the recent fires, California fires of 2018, the Brazilian fires in the Brazilian jungle, and the Australian fires. Australia was something like 500 million acres. Brazil was something like 20 million acres, and California was 1.5 million, something like that. So the scope of the devastation here was horrific and is still burning. But many of the towns that got obliterated are now getting rain, and they're waiting for the gum tree bush, meaning the forest, to regenerate, which it will do after rains. That was a cycle in Australia of fire followed by rain, but just not at the scale that we've experienced this time. So, alrighty, let's take a look at our text for today. Oh, I didn't want to open that one. Let's try again here. There we go. I want to open that one. Here is our text, and I take it back. That is the Vajra Sutra. That was yesterday's lecture. Let's try the Avatamsaka. Here we are. Okay, we're going to come back to page 10 and 11 after we invoke spiritual presence, which is right there. And we're going to accompany this request for the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas to draw near on an old gentleman. This is a 1931 Gibson Mandola. So with palms together, let's do the Chinese. Here we go. Namo Tafang Guang Gu Ma Yen Ji Ma Yen Mai O Pu Sa Ma Yen Ji Ma Yen Mai O Pu Sa One more. Thank you, sir. That's a distinguished vintage instrument. Now, we're going back to page 11, and let's jump right in. We're talking about the 10th stage Bodhisattva, and last week, as you will recall, if you were with us, we got to a description of the Bodhisattva's abilities after he or she has successfully completed the course known as the 9th stage, or first stage to the 9th stage. And those qualifications, those abilities, what the Bodhisattva has learned includes something called the Tathagata's powers, fearlessnesses or courages, kinds of courage, and unshared dharmas, special dharmas. So that's our paragraph. And last week we went through the 10 powers and the 4 kinds of fearlessness. We're going to look at the 18 special Buddha dharmas, and I promise it'll be painless. It's not, and there won't be a quiz following, so don't worry about it. Let's read the Chinese here. It's the, there we are. A little too big. There we go, right there. So, what does it say? It goes, 常观察如来力，无所谓，不公佛法，名为得一切种，一切智智受智慧. English, he, she always contemplates a Tathagata's powers, fearlessnesses, and unshared dharmas of a Buddha. He merits the title, one who has attained the wisdom of all modes, and he qualifies to that rank. All right. So this is our Bodhisattva. Now, something that is obvious that we didn't talk about, even though it's obvious, is these are unique Buddha dharmas, and this is a Bodhisattva. How come he's got them? So clearly the stages of wisdom are not black and white. They're not cut so clearly at this point. Once the Bodhisattva gets past what's called irreversibility, no further retreat, abhayvartika in Sanskrit, 就不退转地. Once he or she has got what's called patience when dharmas no longer arise, 无生法忍, that state, the difference between the Bodhisattva's attainment and Buddhahood is just a matter of degree. He's not far from the top. That experience called irreversibility is a major psychological test of the Buddha's vows. It's a test of his, or I'm sorry, I said it wrong. It's a test of the Bodhisattva's heart, because many, according to the stories, the lore surrounding this education, is that many attempt and few succeed. It's kind of like the Dragon Gate. Everybody familiar with that image? The Dragon Gate is a very Chinese folklore image, which is to say, mythologically, somewhere, there is a river, and carp fish are trying hard to swim upstream. They have to, at a certain point, leap over a gate. And if they make it over the gate, they become dragons. Sadly, the gate is covered with carp scales of fish who made the jump and didn't clear the gate. So this is the dragon gate for bodhisattvas, is somewhere between the 7th and the 8th stage. And we spent a long time preparing for that. We spent a long time looking at it. And sure enough, I'm still talking about it because it was a major test for the bodhisattva. And it's not a test of his knowledge. It's not a test of his technique. It's a test of his vows or her vows. The Buddhas, it says, appear to the bodhisattva and say, don't stop. Don't stop here. Everything that you know has been turned on its head. Black has now become white. White has now become black. Up and down have reversed. What is solid is now liquid, and what was wet is now hard. And you think you're going crazy. Don't. Don't go crazy, because living beings are still suffering. They need you more than ever. Keep going. Don't forget your basic vows. And they pull the bodhisattva through this crisis, through this test, by his heartstrings or her heartstrings. Says, keep going, because you have to just base yourself on what started you on the path to begin with. And if you can do that, you will make it through. Sure enough, the bodhisattva takes one more step and makes it through, and food is still food, sleep is still sleep, clothes are still clothes, and he's through. But everything is different. And the bodhisattva's abilities now are exponentially more powerful than before he was on the other side of that gate. He's now a dragon, so to speak. So from that time on, he went through the 8th stage, the 9th stage, now he's at the 10th stage. And sure enough, this bodhisattva's wisdom is bright and shiny, and his ignorance, the thing that covers him or her, makes them not a Buddha, is very thin indeed. So remember, we make progress by removing things from the nature, not by adding anything. So the bodhisattva is pretty close to Buddha bright, Buddha light. And in the next and last stage, he's going to get everything he needs to know to actually become a Buddha. Among those things, take a look. This bodhisattva now has what are known as 18 distinctive special qualities of a Buddha, 18 unshared features, 18 unshared properties, also known as 18 Buddha attributes, qualities that only Buddhas and bodhisattvas possess. So it's not only Buddhas, unshared by others who are not Buddhas and bodhisattvas. Okay, that's what they are. And it's Shiba Bu Gong Fa, not common, uncommon, not shared in common. And the reason being, let's take a look. We'll get a sense of what they are. Who doesn't have them? Prachika Buddhas don't have them. Voice hearers, the Shravakas, don't have them. Those awakened by causes, by conditions, don't have them. They still cling to a portion of the self, which prevents them from having these dharmas. First one, 诸佛, Shen Wu Shi, perfection in the actions of the body. So, perfect physical behavior. Literally in Chinese, body no loss. Physically no error, okay? Physically no error, never, no mistakes, okay? And since we know how the Dharma is set up. There's a second one, which is mouth no error in the actions of speech. These are somebody else's translations, so I'm going to adapt them. Perfection in the actions of speech. 口无失, things they say never wrong. Right? Imagine, is that you? It's not me. You say wrong things. So this bodhisattva never makes a mistake. And then, this is the Buddha Dharma. So body, mouth, and perfection in the actions of the mind. Thoughts, no error. Right? 念无失. So in any kind of thinking that the bodhisattva does, and this is important to note, they're not robots. Bodhisattvas think better than ever. It's just not random false thinking. Discursive, common, squirrel cage mind. So, 身无失, 口无失, 念无失, body, mouth, and mind free of error. Special to Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Okay? Look at this one, number 4. 无异想. In Chinese, the Chinglish would be no different thinking, no unusual, strange thinking, no thoughts of difference. What is it? Fairness and impartiality. That's a special Buddha Dharma. How about that? Think of, you think, gee, I hope, in America at the moment, there is a trial taking place in the halls of Congress. And wouldn't it be wonderful if all the jurors and those trying the case had 无异想, fairness and impartiality. Hallelujah, Bodhisvaha. Number 5 is 无不定心. So what have we got? We got body, mouth, and mind free of errors. Then a mind that is completely fair and impartial. How could that be? Excuse me one second. That could be because there's no self in the way. The Buddha no longer has a me or a mind that likes things and rejects things. So, completely impartial. Now, let's see. Can we propose what a completely impartial might look like? Kindness to snakes and spiders. Kindness to the rock stonefish. That is the most venomous fish in the world. Step on it and you better get to medical care right away. So Buddha is completely impartial and fair towards all those beings. He understands they come about because of conditions. There's no opinions involved, right? And they evolve based on conditions when the time is right. Number 5, 无不定心, nothing not fixed mind. Constant concentration of the mind. Okay, let's look at this. Ajahn Pasano, Lungpo Pasano, he doesn't like the word concentration for ding, for samadhi, and I'm moving with him. I think that's a good choice. We always said what? Precepts, concentration, wisdom. Precepts, concentration, wisdom. Jia, ding, wait. That was our constant translation. He says concentration gives you a wrong view of meditation. Because why? Concentration means tighten. It concentrates. A solution. We have a doctor in the house. The solutions concentrate. It used to be X parts of water, X parts of the whatever the element is, and you concentrate it, and it's more parts per measure of water or solution. So concentration, he says, don't concentrate to get to samadhi. Focus instead, he said. You don't tighten up to get to samadhi. And if you do tighten up, thinking you wind up obstructing your samadhi. So how interesting, right? That's really true. So constant focus of the mind, or maybe clarity. We're in today's lecture, further down in the sutra, we're going to run into samadhi a lot. And it's a power word in Buddhism. How do we understand it? And it's really key, I think. So if we say concentration, we've sent people down the wrong path, thinking you have to tighten up to get into stillness and purity. So, 无不定心, constant, nothing not focused mind. Cool. Number 6, insight into all phenomena with no attachment to them, to those phenomena. 无不知即舍心, 无不知即舍心. Nothing not, there's a double negative. So let's just eliminate the double negative and go without it because they cancel each other. 知即舍心, no knowledge of self and renunciation, mind. Thoughts that know the need to renounce. Chinese. Insight into all phenomena. 无不知, nothing not known. No attachment to the things you know. Yeah, that's hard to do. I know a lot of professors and academics who are very much attached to what they know. I'm thinking of one renowned professor who's at a major public university in the Midwest, who's considered an absolute expert in the field of Buddhism. He is one of the pillars of the contemporary Buddhology. And from his point of view, the Mahayana Sutras are absolute forgeries. They don't exist. They were written by mandarins. And he's got proof for it, as if he was right back there with his tape recorder and knows the Buddha never said those words. So, okay, what do you do with people who whose reputation is established by going against a multi-thousand-year-old tradition of wisdom and compassion? You say, lighten up, sir. Says who? You weren't there, so lighten up. Persistent intention of salvation to all living beings. 欲无减, right? So that's 这个念减是吗？减，欲无减，减, okay. And interestingly, look at this. Desire not cut off. That could be a complicated concept because we have the Buddha saying desire is the source of all suffering and what brings us back into rebirth with its concomitant grief and misery. So that's desire. Clearly, this is a different view. And I must say, we're talking about the 18 special Buddha Dharmas, right? There are different lists of the 18. I found three different versions. The reason being, these have been in play for as long as the Dharma has been around. People have been talking about these and translating them and retranslating them. Then 500 years will go by and somebody will take another crack at it. And in those 500 years, the use of language has changed. And so here, yu does not mean erotic desire, right? It doesn't mean philios. It's not eros, it's not philios, it's not agape either. It's not that kind of desire. It's the wish to take beings across. 发愿度众生 gets translated as yu, right? So different use of that word yu. Yu, desire never diminished, is the literal the Chinese translation. Persistent intention of salvation to all living beings. Okay, that's a lot of 75-cent words. What it means is never quits on compassion. Okay. Following that, we have 精进无减, vigor, never diminished, incessant diligence. Okay, we'll take it. So, works hard. The Buddha never stops. And I might point out that if people assume that Buddhas are constantly in a state of sitting under the tree with their legs crossed doing nothing, not the case, according to this list, which is authoritative of what Buddhas are like. They work hard. Buddhas are busy. If you go to the Jada Grove, and you can, it's in Shravasti, the Mahabodhi Society has done a good job of keeping the Jada Grove accessible. It's like a big park still, lots of green grass, and they have red brick structures that they say are 2,500 years old. And in India, you can probably believe it. And they say, our Bante who gave us the tour, oh, from America, very good, very good. I didn't know America had Buddhism. Very good, so happy, he said. He said, here, he said, this is where Lord Buddha would be up every morning at 2 o'clock, washing his feet, rinsing his mouth, sitting down, arranging his robes, and meditating out of compassion for all beings. There on the spot. That's where the Buddha meditated. Oh, can I get a picture of that? So indeed. And then when the sun, he was way before the sun rose, and he would cast his, and the Bhante told us how the Buddha would do it. His compassionate regard would cover the world, and he would know where he was needed to send transformed bodies to go and help beings. And you could definitely feel that this, here's the Buddha up before most of us in meditation, helping people out. So, Jing Jin Wu Jian, incessant diligence, constant vigor, always working. I like that vision of the Buddha, right? He's not at Palm Springs playing golf or Mar-a-Lago. So, Nian Wu Jian. This one is very interesting translation. It's mindfulness. That's the word for mindfulness, or thought. Nian, thought after thought. That's the same word, nian. Never diminished. Just like desire never diminished, meaning vows never diminished. Vigor, hard work, action, strength. Sometimes Jing Jin is translated as strength. Never diminished. And now thought never diminished. And what is it? The translation was consistency of teachings with other Buddhas, which I believe our translator looked at the other lists, the other available lists, for a clue as to what nian here means, because nian just means thought. It's also used for mindfulness, meaning keep it in your mind. Your mind is full of it, full of those awarenesses, those contemplations. But the translator interpreted it as parrot combat among parrots. Consistency of teachings with other Buddhas. How interesting. So no matter whether you're Buddha number 1 in the Alamkara Kalpa, or number 2 or number 3, Shakyamuni is number 4, and Maitreya will be number 5, if I'm not mistaken. And Maitreya Bodhisattva becomes Maitreya Buddha. Your teachings that you teach are just the same as every Buddha in the past and the Buddhas of the future. Now, I might add, apparently, what you choose to reveal depends upon the beings in that world. In 1989, I had the blessing and the privilege to travel to China in a pilgrimage to the Four Holy Mountains with other monks. And we went out to Xi'an, and we were going to visit Zhongnanshan. Zhongnanshan, this is in Shanxi province. Zhongnan Mountain is where all the hermits are. Then and now, it was a famous, popular place for you to go if you wanted to just disappear. Go into the mountains and not come back. And I'm told that the Zhongnanshan is full of hermits right now. The latest, we've heard that from quite a few monks recently, that largely because of Bill Porter and his book called Amongst White Clouds. Bill, known as Red Pine, is a journalist, writer, translator, essayist, traveler. And Bill's book on the hermits the Buddhist hermits alive in the mountains in China got huge circulation in China and he became a celebrity because of this book, much more so than its original publication in America. So Bill had something, who knows how much leverage the book had, but because of the spotlight that he threw on these men and women living alone in the mountains, it became more acceptable for monastics, not only Buddhist and Taoist, and probably some non-Buddhist and Taoist, to go out in the mountains and live alone in huts. Zhongnan Mountains out there. So, back to my story. 1989, traveling, we went to Xi'an and then to Zhongnanshan. The terracotta soldiers had not been discovered at this point. We would have seen them if they had been, but they weren't there, which is the main reason that people go to Xi'an pretty much now. So there we were, and we went to a place called Jingye Si, Pure Karma Monastery. And it was I have to say, at the time, undeveloped, unreconstructed, broken down temple. And the abbot of the monastery had been murdered, it turns out. Why had the abbot been murdered? Some poor, starving, desperate farmers had been out on the grounds of the monastery peeling the bark off trees in order to sell it for money. And the abbot came around the corner and said, don't steal or don't destroy our trees. It was some sort of Chinese herb, Chinese medicine. And apparently the thief hit him too hard or something and killed him. And how do we know this story? It's because at Jingye Si, there were 3 Shaolin monks. They were young monks from Shaolin Monastery whom had been called to watch the temple until they could find another monk to take over leadership of it. And these were young men, remarkable guys. They were this is back before Shaolin became the industry that it is now. And my goodness, these young men were full of stories. And they, one of them, interestingly enough, the leader of the 3 of them, had injured himself in martial training and had to take a break from his rigorous physical wushu training. And so he was sent to be the overseer of the temple temporarily. And he spoke remarkable English. And how did he learn his English? He listened to the BBC on the radio. The BBC, somehow he got a shortwave that was able to pick up in China broadcasts from the BBC. And he spoke English with a British accent. Remarkable. He was a martial artist from Shaolin Monastery. And what did he tell us? He told us that a lot of the legends, we traveled around with him a little bit. He said, see that tall peak over there? He said, that is Vajra Peak. I think it was called Jingangshan or something, Jingangding, something like that. And there was a bhikshuni there who, during the time of the Troubles, I won't talk the politics of it, she had had her teeth knocked out as they were struggling against her, as happened at that time. And she grew an entire new set of teeth back. She lived alone up on this peak, and apparently the word was that she was an arhat. And if you could make it up there, she would teach you if you qualified, but it was really bitter up there. No comfort whatsoever, cold. And she would lecture on the Jinggang Jing, and her teeth grew back after having been knocked out. So that's one of the stories. And another one of the stories there was that, and this was the kickoff to number 9 of the Buddhist Special Dharmas. They say apparently Kasyapa Buddha, Jia Shefo, had spoken a Lü Zang, a new treasure, there's the Jing Zang, Lun Zang, Lü Zang, a new basket of Vinaya teachings that were waiting for the time to come so they could emerge out of a cave and circulate. So when we say consistency of teaching with other Buddhas, apparently the legend, the story, the lore of Zhongnanshan said that there's a time when humanity's qualities will be sufficient, or virtue. It might not be in this world, but there's a body of Buddhist teachings already spoken, waiting in a cave protected by Jinggang Li Shi, Vajras, who you can't see, but they're there. And they're in one of the caves in Zhongnanshan, waiting for the right time to emerge in that world. So, of course, we like, wow, cool. Love that story. And I have one more story from that encounter. Oh, no, actually, 2. I haven't thought of this for a long time. The 3 Shaolin monks took us on a hike, and Jingye Si was really undeveloped. It had been destroyed, and it was pretty bare. What did the monks serve us for tea? They had no tea. They went to get tree leaves. There was a special tree. The tree leaves fell, and they collected them and put them in hot water. There you go. There was no tea available. And to get in there, we had to hop from rock to rock. There was no road. It was not a jeep trail. Jeeps, no mechanized vehicle could get there. So it was pretty rugged. But because one of the lay people at the Fojiao Xiehui in Xi'an knew about City of 10,000 Buddhas, Master Hua, and they knew about 3 Steps One Bao. So he took us in. He knew how to get there. He wanted to show us real cultivators. So the 3 monks took us out on a hike, and we went up and up and up, nearly a straight mountain climb, just enough room for a foothold. And on the vertical cliff, we found a ledge and walked in, and here was a cave. And in the cave was what? There were steles, there were stone inscriptions of poems by Bai Juyi. They were the real Tang Dynasty steles of the famous poet, the Buddhist poet Bai Juyi, who lived in the area. There it was in front of us. It was cracked, and it's like, and they said, "Yeah, that's the real list. That's the actual one." The collectors haven't found it yet. So we saved it from, the Cultural Revolution. Okay, cool. And the last story from Jingye Si was that he said, "Yeah, when we first got here, he said we looked at we read the account, Bai Juyi's poem, and he wrote, because he liked Pure Karma Temple, Jingye Si. He liked this place. And there was a story that there was a great snake, Mangsha, a python, that lived at Jingye Si. And it had been there as long as people could remember, before the monastery. And the first builder of the monastery had to pass inspection by the snake, and before the snake would let him alone. And if the monks were good enough, the snake would protect them. He was the Dharma protector. And he said, yeah, we climbed up here because somebody told us to look for this cave, and we found it here. Because young Shaolin monks, they've got a lot of energy and they're running around. So we found the cave, we read the story. I said, wow, that's one of the qualities of this temple. And so he said, we came down, and the three of us came around the corner, and we're going into the Buddha hall. And there was this huge snake. And he said the snake came up like a cobra, like this, and it looked at us. And he says it was chest high from the ground. And he said it was probably 12 feet, and it was chest high, and it just looked at us and looked at all three of us. 1, 2, 3, that, and it just stared at us, and then it went back down and crawled away. So we think we passed, he said. That was the snake. That was the python from Baiju East. Baiju lived in the 9th century, right? Tang Dynasty. So he said, yeah, we like this place a lot. We're going to try to protect it till they tell us to go back. So when I see that Buddha's teachings, consistency of teachings with other Buddhas, there are exceptions. Sometimes Jashofa or Kashyapa Buddha will leave something behind, or one of the other Buddhas. He is one of the Chi Rulai, right? The 7 Buddhas of antiquity. Okay, so we're gonna switch our Chinese translators here. That's good United Nations policy, You don't burn them out. So Cliff has been vigorously translating in Chinese. Now we have Dr. Wong's picking up the microphone. Now we've got 8 more to go. 3 similar ones. Hui, number 10 is Hui Wu Jian, Jie Tuo Wu Jian, Jie Tuo Zhi Jian, Wu Jian. So perfect Hui, wisdom. Wisdom without diminishment. Wisdom without reduction. Wisdom that doesn't get less. Next, liberation, emancipation. When I hear emancipation, I think of Abraham Lincoln. Liberation, that is, that never slacks off, never diminishes, right? Undiminished jietuo, and then undiminished zhi jian of jietuo, knowledge and perspectives on liberation, perfect insight. Wisdom, liberation, and insight. The Buddha has it without diminishing ever. Now, notice we have another series here, Shen Ko Yi. Yeah. So the next 13, 14, and 15, the only thing different is the mode of karma. Everything else is the same, right? You see the pattern here? So, 一切身业随智慧行. Every bit of physical karma accords with 智慧, follows wisdom as it arises. So the Buddha, in his behavior, xing, in his steps, follows wisdom in every physical deed. Sounds a lot like Shen Wu Shi, right? First one. So there's a pattern, right? So 一切 shen, yeah. Next one, 一切 ko, yeah. Consistency of words with wisdom in action. In everything the Buddha does with his speech, it accords with wisdom. In everything the Buddha does with mental karma, it accords with wisdom. Okay, see the pattern? The only thing different is Shen, Ko, Yi, body, mouth, and mind. Everything else is the same. In all body karma, in all vocal speech karma, in all mental karma, 随智慧行. follows wisdom as it arises. So wisdom guides body, mouth, and mind. Karma. Okay, here's another pattern with only one different word. 智慧之见，过去是无可无章. Knowledge of the past, knowledge of the future, knowledge of the present. So 过去、未来、现在是. Okay, 过去式, 现在式, 未来式. Let's unpack this. Wisdom, knowledge, viewpoints, perspectives, past worlds, no break, no obstacle. No pause, no obstacle. Wisdom, knowledge, perspective, future world, no interstice, no pause, no obstacle. Wisdom, knowledge, perspectives, present worlds, no break, no obstacle. We did it, all 18, by golly. We took a detour to Zhongnanshan to get there, but how about that? That's a list. It's an old list of 18 special qualities that Buddhas alone and Bodhisattvas have, unshared with those of lesser wisdom and lesser compassion. Perfection in the actions of the body, perfections in the actions of speech, perfections in the action of the mind, fairness and impartiality, constant focus of the mind, insight into all phenomena but not attached to their knowledge, persistent intention of salvation of all living beings. In other words, never retreating from your vows, never diminishing in vigor and strength. Same teachings, with sharing teachings with Buddhas. Perfect wisdom, perfect liberation, perfect insight. Wisdom makes physical deeds consistent. Wisdom makes speech actions consistent. Wisdom making mind behavior consistent. Knowledge of past worlds without obstacle. Knowledge of future worlds without obstacle. Knowledge of present worlds without obstacles. If you are a Buddha and you have these special dharmas, you know what? You can teach really well. You teach without mistake. You know exactly what to say to help people wake up. There we go. That's 18. Well done, everybody. We made it through a long, long list. Usually you hear about 18 anything, you're done. It's too much. Who has patience to sit through 18 anything? So there we go. We have talked about what? We've talked about this passage. He always contemplates a Tathagata's powers, fearlessnesses, and unshared dharmas of a Buddha. He is called somebody who's got wisdom of all modes, and he qualifies to that rank. His wisdom at the 10th, this is, mind you, we haven't got to the 10th stage yet. This is the 9th stage Bodhisattva, is there now. So at this point, let's read the next chunk, okay? Let's take a big bite moving forward in the sutra. It's been 3 weeks in that same passage. Yes, question?
Could I make a comment?
Please do. Hey, go for it.
I just thought of something regarding the 18 dharmas, connecting to what you said about the bodhisattva at the 8th stage, that the Buddhas actually encourage the bodhisattva to continue on, saying you haven't realized the 18 dharmas yet. And so that's something that they continue to cultivate on this process to become a Buddha, because at the 8th stage, they could basically enter nirvana and leave, but they need to still go because they haven't realized their full potential. And then I had a thought about when he says qualifies to the rank. You know how we take the Bodhisattva precepts, and it says that when you take the Bodhisattva's precepts, you enter the Buddha's position.
Right.
And my sense is because he's constantly contemplating the Buddha's unshared dharmas, that he essentially, from the Buddha's perspective, he's the time, that kind of, what do you call it, time and space doesn't quite apply. So he's planting that seed, so he qualifies to be able to have that rank. I don't know if it makes sense.
Okay. no, that's legit. And if you think about what this bodhisattva started as a person, and as a person, he was full of opinions, prejudices, confusion, emotion, contradictions, right? And bit by bit, his mind or her mind replaced all that affliction with principle, mostly by just removing the things that he was attached to and that covered him up. I'll just use the male pronoun. And as that ignorance was removed, these qualities emerged. How does the bodhisattva use his time now compared to then, right? He's constantly contemplating 18 special qualities, like you said. And imagine what a clean, well-lit place for cultivation this bodhisattva's mind is now, right? Yeah. So we got a little palate cleanser here. Exercising the other side of the brain. It's a lot of words to get through 18 special dharmas. And we're just looking at the names, much less are we, contemplating. We are already, oh, by the way, Jin Chuan Shi or Jin Ho Shi both, if you need to, I just barely heard you. You spoke up very politely. If you want to get my attention, shout, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Can I make just one last reflection on the 18
No,
dharmas?
I'm sorry, your time is up. We're moving. No, go ahead.
I just thought of actually those 18 dharmas are, what do we say? Actually, they're not that far out if you really look at them. It says, I don't make a mistake with my body, speech, or mind.
Right.
And so if we just have that aspiration, that's actually the seed for Buddhahood, which is quite striking because that's only the Buddhas have that quality that you do not make any mistakes in my actions.
Yeah.
And I'm constantly helping living beings. I mean, so it's an interesting reflection that if you just have one of those vows, then your seed is already to become a Buddha.
So, yeah, and in that same vein, just what spectacular contemplations these can be. It's like you say, it sounds so simple. You never make a mistake in your speech, for example, And what does that mean compared to what we do, which is mostly, pray, talk and pray. We just spit and duck. We have no idea how what we say is heard by people, and just to have the last three, which are also body, mouth, and mind, to say that things you do with your body, mouth, and mind always follow wisdom. Means principle. It's right. It's rooted in the DNA of life itself. That's where these principles come from. So how wonderful, there's your that's your dissertation topic, is interpretations of the 18 special dharmas. And this, I will admit, I just pulled this offline. I typed Shiba Gongfa into Google, and found 3 or 4 different choices. And the one that I picked out gives 3 different versions of the 18 special dharmas. One is found in the Dazhi Dulun, the Nagarjuna Bodhisattva's commentary to the Mahaprajnaparamita Sutra, the Great Perfection of Wisdom Sutra. And that's an encyclopedia of everything known to Indian Buddhism at a certain period of time. It's 4th and 5th century. So if anybody wanted to look further into the 18 special dharmas, here's one version, here's a second version, right? And there's more, and he gives the historical, this is the person online who posted that, gives the citation with other sutras. So how rich. You know, Dr. Konza, our famous translator of Prajnaparamita in Sanskrit, says originally there was no Buddha Dharma, there were only these lists of practices. What got stitched into sutras and came later, he says. So the Four Noble Truths was what the Buddha discovered through trial and error, through hard work. Today in our meditation class here at Gold Coast Dharma Realm, we were working with the idea of Shin, the effect of meditation on mind. And we had to start by saying, what are we talking about? We're talking about this, Shin, the brain in the skull. Are we talking about the Chinese? When they say think, they point to the heart, because Shin is a pictogram of a heart. Is it mind? Where is mind? Is mind different from brain? Is it where we think? And we worked with this whole concept first. And then where we went was, what's supposed to happen when we meditate? Right, with quote marks around supposed. Says who? What's supposed to happen when the dust slowly settles? What's supposed to happen as the fog slowly lifts? Mixing a metaphor here. What's supposed to happen as you dig a rake and a shovel and a hoe into the hard-packed ground of your garden, preparatory to breaking it up and adding amendments and planting a seed down and then waiting for it to sprout. Right? So this is a really, I think, a good approach, a good door to walk through in meditation. And the reason I brought it up was, a lot of the answer is you have to do it before you'll know. If you don't make the time and sit still, you're never going to experience what the Buddha and every meditator from the Buddha's time experienced, which is the gradual settling of the dust. We use the analogy of signal of noise to signal. If you're looking for KQED, which is at 88.5 on your FM dial, and you're at 88.1, you're going to get, and as soon as you get closer to 88.5, it's don't. And now Michael Krasny with the show called, so that's, you have to do it. And if you do, you'll have the same experience, and you can investigate for yourself and get your own answer. So a lot of those lists that the Buddha came up with were the results of his investigation. And then he said, yeah, this is it. The Four Noble Truths, Eightfold Path. And we think, oh, that's just Buddhism, right? Well, no, that's called the results of hard work. Looking in the same place, just in the laboratory of the mind. Experiments in the laboratory of the mind. I'm going to do a shameless plug for our summer camp in Oregon called Buddha Root Farm by reading some of the snapshots. Now, Jin Chuan, Shi Jin He Shi, and I just returned from Buddha Root Farm, Malaysia, number 3, third time there. It's a great camp, really fun. and helpful, I thought, for me, certainly. And I wanted to read to you some of the snapshots from last year. What are snapshots? We, at the end of the camp, the last night, we go around the circle. There's sometimes 80 people, more sometimes. And we say, you are going down the mountain tomorrow back to your familiar space, your familiar circle, your home, your clan, and kin. And chances are they're going to say, what happened? And you have a little window to share the experience with them. And it's good and helpful to prepare something so that when people say, what happened? How was it? You can say, oh, well, this happened. And the snapshot, a snapshot is like a photo on your phone. The snapshot that works is something that you saw happen, something you heard happen, or something someone told you that they saw or heard that carries a sense impression of that experience. So eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, mind. Those are the senses. So share a snapshot. What would it be that you can share with them? That's what we ask people. We go around the room and everybody tosses one out. Sometimes there's 2 or 3 of them. They're short. And the ideal length is about 45 seconds, 90 seconds. So we recorded some of the snapshots from last year. Here they are. Why Buddha Root Farm? When people leave, number 1. I found an amazing amount of different languages spoken at this year's Buddha Root Farm. I heard Chinese, Vietnamese, Spanish, Italian, and was blown away by how harmoniously all these languages and people can work together. Number 2, I was so excited to hear that there would not be any Wi-Fi. What a thrill, no Wi-Fi. I enjoyed all the storytelling and insights on the nature of the stories we heard. I really felt the vibes that everyone felt during the discussion of the 6 Patriarch Sutra. My favorite part was understanding the meaning of Buddhism through music. Number 3, I was here during work week. That's the work that precedes Buddhism. It felt like family right when we had our first dinner together. People here treat each other like family and work really well in the safe environment we create. During the dedication of merit, I felt a powerful wave as we all sang together. That was the best part of my summer. Why Buddha Root Farm? When people leave, they not only think of good food, beautiful music, and happy times, but also of the Dharma they learned and how they can use what they learned to deeply reflect on what they will find in the future. This was my second Buddha Root Farm experience. I remember that I was so impressed that one of the cooks, who's Italian from Italy, was able to cook one of the most classic Chinese dishes perfectly. He can. I was able to interact a lot with my kids, playing soccer with them. I saw that my son was very playful. My daughter was very determined. I appreciated this opportunity to spend time with my kids. Last night, I took a shower in one of the outdoor showers after the evening lecture. I was basically taking a shower in the dark, making it sometimes hard to find the shampoo and conditioner. I looked up, there's no roof. And I found that the outdoor shower isn't just a 5-star shower, it's a 20-star shower. Look at all the stars in the sky. Something just clicked. In life, I'm always thinking about what is easy and what causes struggle. But I found that I need to change my focus and just appreciate life. Outdoor showers. Okay, just 3 more here. Snapshots. When organizing Buddha Root Farm, I kept asking myself, can I do this? I now see how valuable what we put on is, meaning the camp. Buddha Root Farm brings out the best in people. People are really good to each other. That's not always the case in the world. I kept thinking about the needs of families and whether this would be classified as a Chan retreat. Then I saw that there were more kids coming. Buddha Root Farm has been a valuable, rare, and precious experience for all types of people. I enjoyed observing and finding the light that is more uncovered in every person. This makes me think, are we a family camp? We seem to be family in a real way. Then I thought outwardly, how would this structure work in a campus community? This has really transformed my thoughts. Number 7, when we were all cleaning up the half can, this is our dining building, someone told me to pass her cross to her. I later found out that one of the Dharma masters had made a wooden cross for her, who was a Catholic, so she could worship along with everyone while we prayed. I was very touched by everyone's discussion of family, especially from the Dharma masters. It inspired me to become a better daughter and friend, and I feel so grateful for living this lifestyle and talking to all the young people. I'm grateful for the community of noble friends that helped me realize my ego and experiencing the Dharma in the West. It amazes me to see Dharma masters wear Chinese robes and singing American Buddhist songs. It's like a dream come true. The feeling of community that we're experiencing is amazing, as well as the diversity of Dharma friends from China, Italy, Mexico, and other places. So that's interesting. Now, I'm going to show folks where to go should they be interested in finding out more. Go to oregon.berkeleymonastery.org. I'll copy that. If you do that, you go to this page and you don't go. Try again. Oregon.berkeleymonastery. There we go. Buddha Root Farm. Registration is now closed for 2019. Let us know if you'd like to be notified when registration for 2020 opens. That will be probably sometime in end of January, early February. And here is some hard advice after 15 years of what to prepare, schedule. What about the cost? It continues to be run on the Dana system. It's free. Donations are welcome. Where it is, what to bring, additional info, safety tips for drivers, 10-hour drive. We take a bus up. Video archives, recap of the experience by Shren. So this is Buddha Root Farm. I'll show you that address one more time. It's Oregon.berkeleymonastery.org. That's it right there. And put that in your, make a bookmark because it's not ready for 2020 yet, but it will be soon. And once the website goes up and registration is open, you need to move quickly if you want to go because it tends to fill up pretty quick these days. And we can't take more than capacity. That has been unsuccessful in the past. Alrighty, we're going to jump back into our sutra.
Faster, there are questions from internet.
Yes, question. Hi, Jay.
The question is about attachment. How does one knows one has attachment? So last one, and then another audience asks, how does one practice no attachment?
Okay. How does one know one has attachments? How do two know two have attachments? How do three know three have attachments? So how do you know you've got an attachment? You think about it too much. You can test yourself. If you didn't have it, what then? And it can be everything from coffee to your dog or your kitty. It can be, we can attach, people attach to different things. Monks who reduce their possessions down to a minimum get attached to their robes. Has to be a certain kind of material, has to be cut a certain way, right? So attachments honor no income or social status. You can attach to people. That's what living beings do. That's what we do. I told the funny story about the late Guozhou, David Rounds, who wanted to leave home, and he actually did it. He went to Gold Mountain Monastery, trailing his Oxford English Dictionary on a little cart behind him. And 3 days later, he was not in the monastery, and he showed up a week later with his tail between his legs, ashamed. Master Hua says, Guozhou, leaving home's not so easy, is it? Can you tell us, what was it? He said, there was tea and toast in the New York Times in the morning at breakfast. He couldn't put it down. He was attached to that experience of breakfast with tea and toast in the New York Times, which in the monastery, not that you can't have the New York Times in the monastery, but not every day and not the way he wanted. So we are creatures of habit. So we attach to things and experiences. So how do you know you're attached? How do you not know you're attached? If you have to ask, chances are you're attached. And so what? Living beings are that way. We are. I was attached to sugar at more than once. And I made it a practice I cut out all sugar and was beating myself up for being so attached to sugar, and came around the corner and Master Hua said, cookie, handed me a cookie. And it wasn't a test to see if he really wanted me to see that I wasn't ready to break my sweet tooth attachment at the time. Then later on, I was determined that I was going to overcome desire physically with force. And I insisted that I was not going to eat any food that had oil or salt. I was only going to eat 没有油盐的菜. I insisted on eating only unseasoned food. It has to be bland food. And because I was on my pilgrimage at the time, the lay people were like, okay, Fasher, whatever you say. And I caused no end of trouble for lay people. They had to cook special food for me. No oil, no salt. And one day, the chef, the cook, not the chef, the cook at Gold Wheel Monastery on 6th Street in LA was away, and the replacement cook didn't know to cook me special unseasoned food. And so I pouted. Marty and I was still silent. Marty, Heng Sure and I were eating downstairs, and here's the food, and there was no special unseasoned food available. And I was really upset. And, it's like, man, okay, I won't eat today. Show you. And this young monk came downstairs with a tray of food and set it in front of me and said, Shifu says eat. And it was Master Hua's lunch tray. He didn't eat that day, and it was all unseasoned food. And I was like, oh no, I can't refuse it. But I know Sherpa's going to go hungry today. It's like, and he was upstairs and nobody told him. I mean, how did he know? But his lunch appeared in front of me. And after that, Sherpa says, eat normal. Why are you causing so much extra work? Are you worth it? That's pretty arrogant. So I was attached and proud of eating unseasoned food. And I did it for about 9 months, and being so selfish that I wanted, to be special. I want to be different. So I was causing affliction in others. Unwise. So you can be attached to your cultivation strongly, and as a result, you become a burden. So attachments, of course, living being, we attach to everything. There's nothing we don't attach to. Attach to our bodies. So how do you know? Figure you are, probably. Then go step by step. Whenever you leave the middle way, you're on thin ice, and you're probably going to, you know, the cartoons where the is it Tom and Jerry and Thomas the cat, or Thomas the cat, or Jerry the cat, and he takes a hammer and he's going to pound the mouse, and he winds up hitting the floorboard, and the floorboard comes up from behind and hits him in the back of the head because he pounded the board down. Tom and Jerry, and keeps pounding the board and gets hit in the back of the head. So every time we leave the middle way, thinking that we're going to be special and different, often we wind up being hit from behind by the reaction to breaking habits. What does work is setting your sights on benefiting others and cultivation for the long run. Look long in cultivation. How am I going to be practicing a year from now, 5 years from now, 20, 30? How will my cultivation look then? Aim for that and take one solid step ahead at a time. Breaking attachments usually winds up whacking us in the back of the head by the board that we thought we were going to kill the mouse. In fact, we wound up whacking ourselves. So don't break habits. Let them go. After all, it's a struggle in our mind. It doesn't exist anywhere outside of our mind. Why? Struggle in the mind, calling it cultivation, right? Okay, and Jerry, the second question was what? What is attachment? I think I answered that together. So, yeah. Alrighty, we were gonna, let's see here. We're still, let's read it, okay? We'll read this paragraph and then go deeply into it next week. Here we go. Ready? 佛子菩萨摩诃萨以如是智慧入受智地夷，既得菩萨离垢三昧，入法界差别三昧，庄严道场三昧，一切中华光三昧，海藏三昧，海印三昧，虚空界广大三昧，观一切法自性三昧，知一切众生心性三昧，一切佛皆现前三昧，如是等百万阿僧祇三昧，皆现在前。Okay, what did it say? It said, disciples of the Buddha, the Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, who, by means of such wisdom, as qualified to the rank, immediately attains the Bodhisattva's undefiled samadhis. He masters the samadhi of the differences among Dharma realms, the samadhi of adorning bodhimandals, the samadhi of varieties of flowers and lights, the samadhi of the ocean treasury, the samadhi of the ocean imprint, the samadhi of the vast reaches of the realms of empty space, the samadhi of contemplating the inherent nature of dharmas, the samadhi of knowing the activities of the minds of beings, and the samadhi of having Buddhas appear before him. Such samadhis as those, hundreds of thousands of asamkhya's in number, appear before him. Alrighty. So look at that. This is meditation. This bodhisattva is a really skillful meditator. And how do we know? We just read the names of 10 kinds of samadhi. And samadhi probably will become an English word. We're going to stick with it. First of all, there's no good alternative. In English, we go to trance. You know, it's not a trance. Trance is what the hypnotist on stage leaves his dummy in a trance. What else? State of concentration. We've already talked about concentration is not the best word. What's another word for samadhi? Focus, state of purity and stillness. You have to kind of interpret it to translate it. And if you can ru ding, Rusan Mei, enter samadhi or master samadhi, you do so while meditating. And as Master Hua described it, there are definite stages. For a long time, you have to cross your legs and sit still and compose yourself, get everything quiet, and you enter samadhi. Later, walking, standing, sitting, reclining, you never leave samadhi. They say, 挪切常在定，无有不定时. The great Naga snake is always in samadhi. There is never a time when he is not in samadhi. The great Naga snake. We've got a picture, actually, of a great Naga snake. We do indeed. Our audience here, Gold Coast, won't be able to see it because it's only on my computer. But let's see, is this the one? There's a Naga in samadhi. I've got our snake from the garden. This we took last week. And somebody mentioned, I think really interestingly, that the eye of the snake looks like the planet Earth, right? With blue and the clouds, and that was Ben who said that. Here's a Naga. This is a python called a carpet python, carpet snake. And I took that photo in the garden, our vegetable garden. And let's see here. We've got another photo. This particular python's name is Seraphina. There it is. Okay. So Seraphina is constantly in samadhi. There is no time when she is not in samadhi. And it is the case. I've known the snake for 3 years now. And Jin Husher and I were on my deck when Seraphina showed up and sat there and stared at us. And 挪切常在定, the Naga is always in samadhi. 无有不定时. There's no time. She is not in that state of stillness. So, Naga snake. And the Chinese word for that python is 大蟒蛇, which is what the Naga is. Alrighty, so next week, clearly our challenge is going to be investigating samadhi. There are 10 varieties mentioned, and we'll be looking into what that might mean. How do you know, today we had a question, how do you know when you have an attachment? And our question could be, how do you know when you're in samadhi? And I think the answer will be, if you do, you're not. Once you know you're in samadhi, you're out of samadhi. But there's a you and a knowing. Samadhi depends upon transforming the me and knowledge. All right, here is my lovely emerald 12-string guitar from Northern Ireland. And we're going to dedicate merit. And when we're done, I'm going to suggest that we'll sign off, and then Jin Husher can tell everybody what's happening at the Berkeley Monastery and various community events. So let's put our palms together and we'll dedicate merit, and then we'll hang up, and then we can both bow east and west, above and below, right? Here we go. Please make a wish. And all of you who dedicated merit to rain in Australia, thank you. It rained. Those of you who had influence with the Dragon Kings, we appreciate those special words. May every living being our minds as one with love, share the fruits of peace, with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see how happy minds and hearts can find in giving unity. May our minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward. May all who sorrow leave their grief and remain. May this boundless light dispel the darkness of their endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of fate turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. All right, everyone. I look forward to being with you same time next week for the next encounter with the Bodhisattvas of the 10th stage and the Flower Garland Sutra. Om Tofu. Bye-bye.
Okay, so quickly in terms of announcements, next Saturday we have the Lunar New Year, and on the Berkeley Buddhist Monastery, January 25th. So we'll begin at 9 a.m. with Om Mani Padme Hum, and followed by Dharma talks, and then from there we'll have the noon meal. The afternoon will be the same program. We'll recite the Buddha's name, have the sutra lecture, and so forth. The weekly schedule is still the same next week. Stephen Tainer Wednesday, and the East Bay Insight Meditation on Thursday. The following week, Amelia and Marty's class will start. So January 27th and January 31st. So people are welcome to join for that if you're interested. Anything else, Jing Husher? No? Okay. So how about we bow to the Buddhas and Master Hua? Bow in respect to the Venerable Master. Namo Da Fang Guang Fu Hua Yan Jing Hua Yan Hai Hui Bo Bu Sai Na